Did you know that a quiet baby isn't always a sleeping baby? Sometimes, silence is actually a signal. We often think respiratory distress looks like loud crying or coughing, but in infants, the most critical signs can be dangerously quiet. Today, we are going to look at the subtle difference between a baby who is resting deeply and a baby who is working too hard to breathe. Knowing this difference is what puts you in the driver's seat of your child's safety. Hey everyone, welcome back to Three Koi Fishes. We're a team of parents with over 80 years of combined parenting experience. We dive into pediatric guidance, research it, and share what parents really need to know. Respiratory distress is scary to think about, but knowledge is the antidote to fear. Research from the American Academy of Family Physicians indicates that respiratory distress occurs in about 7% of all deliveries. It's common, but it requires action. In this video, we are going to break down the 3 major signals that your baby needs help: mottled skin, retractions, and the grunt. We will also discuss how safe sleep practices act as your first line of defense and touch on how unique wiring, like neurodivergence, can sometimes mask these signals. By the end of this video, you won't just be worried, you'll be empowered. You will know exactly what to look for. The foundation: safe sleep stats. Before we analyze the distress signals, we have to look at the environment. When you're building your nursery, are you setting the stage for safety? The foundation of monitoring your baby's breathing starts with safe sleep. According to the CDC, the Back to Sleep campaign, which promotes placing babies on their backs on a firm surface with no soft bedding, has reduced SIDS deaths by more than 50% since the 1990s. That is a massive victory for parents everywhere. However, the rate of sudden unexpected infant death is still about 0.89 per 1,000 live births. Why does this matter for respiratory distress? Because a safe sleep environment makes it much easier for you to spot the signs we are about to discuss. If a baby is buried in blankets or surrounded by bumpers, you cannot see the rise and fall of their chest. You cannot see the color of their skin. By clearing the crib, you are actually clearing your line of sight. You are giving yourself the best possible chance to act as the expert observer your baby needs. Remember, safe sleep isn't just a rule list. It's a tool that helps you monitor your child's unique physiology without obstruction. Let's now discuss the 3 major signs. Sign 1: mottled skin and color changes. You might see your baby's skin taking on a blotchy, web-like pattern. It looks a bit like marble, patches of pale skin mixed with reddish or purplish lines. This is called mottling. What is happening here? When a baby is having trouble breathing, their body is incredibly smart. It prioritizes the most important organs: the heart, the brain, and the lungs. To protect these vital systems, the body constricts the tiny blood vessels in the skin to redirect blood flow inward. The result is that poorly perfused look on the surface. Now, pause for a moment. Did you know that healthy babies can sometimes have mottled skin just because they are cold? This is where your expertise comes in. If your baby is mottled, touch their chest or tummy. If they feel cold, warm them up and see if the color improves. If the mottling persists even when they are warm, or if it is accompanied by other signs we'll discuss, that is a red flag. We also need to talk about central cyanosis. This is a bluish tint around the lips, tongue, or torso. According to the AFP, this is a classic warning sign of respiratory distress. Do not confuse this with acrocyanosis, which is just blue hands and feet that is actually quite common in newborns. But blue lips? That means oxygen levels are low. If you see persistent mottling or blue lips, you don't wait. You seek care. Trust your eyes. Sign 2: retractions, the work of breathing. Moving on to the second sign, and arguably the most distinct visual cue: retractions. When we breathe, it should be effortless. But when an infant is in distress, breathing becomes a workout. Retractions are literally the visual proof that the muscles are working overtime to pull air into the lungs. Imagine a vacuum sealer. When a baby inhales and the airway is tight or the lungs are stiff, the negative pressure sucks the soft tissue inward against the bones. Here is what you need to look for. Subcostal retractions. Look at the belly right below the ribcage. Does the belly sink in deeply every time they take a breath? 2. Intercostal retractions. Look between the individual ribs. You might see the skin sucking in between the bones, creating a washboard effect. 3. Suprasternal retractions. Look at the hollow of the neck, right above the collarbone or breastbone. Seeing this area tug downward with every breath is a significant sign of distress. You might also see seesaw breathing. This is when the chest sinks while the belly pops out, and vice versa. It looks like a struggle, a tug-of-war within their own body. Why does this happen? The NCBI bookshelf on respiratory distress syndrome notes that this increased work of breathing is a compensatory mechanism. The baby is fighting to maintain oxygen levels. If you have to unbutton a onesie to check, do it. If you have to turn on a light to see the shadows on their ribs, do it. You are the expert on your child, and identifying retractions early is one of the most powerful ways you can advocate for them. Sign 3, the grunt. The third sign is auditory, but it can be deceptive. It's called the grunt. We often think of grunting as a sound of effort, like lifting a heavy box, or sometimes even a cute, fussy noise a baby makes while pooping. But a rhythmic, persistent grunt at the end of every breath is a different story. Did you know that grunting is actually the baby's attempt to keep their own lungs open? When a baby exhales, they might close their vocal cords slightly to trap a tiny bit of air in the lungs. This creates positive pressure. In the medical world, we try to replicate this with machines, but the baby is doing it instinctively. They are grunting to prevent the tiny air sacs in their lungs from collapsing completely. This sound can be subtle. It might sound like a short with every exhale. It is not crying. It is rhythmic. If you hear this sound, do not ignore it. It is a sign that the baby is working incredibly hard to maintain their lung volume. It is one of the classic warning signs cited by UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital for conditions like respiratory distress syndrome, which affects roughly 40,000 newborns in the U.S. annually. If your baby is sleeping but making this noise continuously, it is time to get them evaluated. Neurodivergence and the whole child view. Finally, we need to touch on something that is often overlooked: unique wiring. If you have a child who is neurodivergent or perhaps has low muscle tone, hypotonia, their signals might look slightly different. For example, a baby with low muscle tone might not show retractions as forcefully as a neurotypical baby, even if they are struggling. Or they might have different baseline breathing patterns. This brings us back to our core philosophy: you're the expert on your child. If you feel like something is off, if their color looks strange to you, if their breathing sounds different than their normal, or if they just seem unusually lethargic, listen to that instinct. Finding neurodiversity affirming care means finding providers who listen when you say, "This isn't normal for my child." Whether it's respiratory distress or developmental differences, you're the one who knows them best. Parenting is a journey of learning a new language, the language of your baby's body. By recognizing mottled skin, identifying retractions, and hearing the grunt, you are decoding that language. You are moving from anxiety to action. Remember, you are in the driver's seat. Trust your observation skills. Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe to our channel to gain more parental tips and insights. See you in the next video.